So things are picking up big time in 1984. Besides the first episode, this is probably my favourite or equal favourite this season so far. It's definitely on the edge of your seat. Momentum is through the roof from start to finish in this one. Never slows down, and it's definitely keeping us interested. And when you think this show cannot provide some more twists and turns, well, this episode is going to prove everybody wrong. It starts off with a backstory on Montana and also Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, who is fast becoming my favourite character in the show. Even though this younger version of Richard Ramirez is a lot better looking than the real one, for those of you that are familiar with the actual real serial killer that was lurking the streets in America in 1984, yes, that's right. Richard Ramirez, or the Night Stalker in this show, is actually based upon a very real life serial killer. Having said that, the entire story with what's happening in the show isn't actually how things happened in real life. Richard Ramirez just stalked women, broke into their homes, killed them in their sleep with knives, hammers, ropes, things like that. He was a satanic worshipper into his heavy metal music, much like this character, but in real life he had really rotten teeth because he was addicted to sugar and drank cans of cola all day long. This guy looks like more of a supermodel compared to the real Richard Ramirez. But aside from those facts that I mentioned, everything else is fictional. Richard Ramirez, I don't think, had any compassion. He didn't have any attraction towards women that I know of. Aside from raping them and killing them, I don't think he had some sort of connection where he could actually open up to women, be honest, and feel comfortable. Because serial killers are weird. You know, they have to, in order to be intimate and actually open up, they'll probably have to kill you first. So all the camp stuff with Richard Ramirez is obviously fictional. He never went to a camp and actually came face to face with Mr. Jingles or tried to kill a teen in a camp or anything like that. They've just taken a real character and building upon a fictional story. So it starts off with Night Stalker and Montana backstory, which I loved. We're back to aerobics, we're back to 80s cheesiness and an awesome soundtrack. We also get some backstory on Mr. Jingles and Margaret, the camp owner. So Margaret is the sole survivor from Mr. Jingles' big massacre back in 1970. And there's a big twist there, which is revealed in this episode. That's all I can say. Mr. Jingles and Margaret actually had some sort of really twisted relationship back in 1970. And with each episode happening, it's actually quite obvious that Margaret is quite crazy. She's delusional, she's crazy, and there's something not quite right about her. And everything is revealed in this episode about Margaret. So a lot of backstory on Margaret and Mr. Jingles, big twist with what's happening there. And it basically, by the end of the episode, the whole story, the whole plot is basically turned upside down. You'll know what I'm talking about once you watch the episode. One thing I did not like about this episode, and it's blatantly obvious, is Trevor goes to rescue Margaret. He has some sort of conscience and, oh, we can't leave without Margaret, we've got to rescue her. They had every opportunity to get in a car or he could jump on his bike and they could get the hell out of there. And as we know, those of you that watched the last episode, Ray was the one that got on the bike. So lucky Trevor didn't, because Ray got decapitated by an axe by Mr. Jingles in the last episode. So Trevor chose to go and help Margaret. He finally finds her. He tries to help her and get her out of the camp to come with the rest of them and get the hell out of there. She refuses. She's obviously talking delusional and crazy, and he can see that, or it's presumed that he can see that, and he decides to leave her. Fine, you don't want to leave? Okay, you've got a gun? No worries. Margaret wants to stay in camp and she wants to protect all these kids coming in the morning because she's got a gun. She'll be okay if Mr. Jingles turns up. Clearly delusional, clearly crazy. Trevor identifies this and leaves her and says, no worries, I'm back. I'm going back to the real world. Do what you need to do, Margaret. Then, at some stage, we hear a few gunshots and Trevor, for some reason, decides to go back to Margaret. Oh, Margaret said she's got a gun. I got to go check out and make sure that she's okay. Are you serious? She's obviously delusional. She's crazy. Something isn't right with this woman. It was presumed that he could identify that, but for some reason chose to go back. I just feel like this is poor writing, and it's the only one little part of this episode that I disliked. Some of you may disagree. If you do, let me know in the comments below. But what the hell, Trevor? You went there once. Why would you go back there again? And I guess the reason why I'm so pissed off about that action is because it led to something that I really did want to happen in the show. So without getting into any spoilers, I'll mention what that something is in my next episode review. So on the evil Bannock scale out of 13, this episode, episode 4, True Killers, gets a 12 out of 13. Awesome momentum, awesome twists and turns, amazing soundtrack, of course, as always. Only one part that I didn't like, and that was the whole Trevor going to Margaret, not once, but twice. It just makes no sense. It made no sense to me to go back for that second time after simply hearing gunshots. Obviously she's crazy, obviously she's delusional, obviously there's something going on with Margaret, and I personally would have left her there to rot. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you come back for more American Horror Story reviews, and of course, a lot more focus on horror movies in general leading up to Halloween, baby. Happy October, everybody. See you again real soon. Lots of love from your creepy damn uncle. This guy right here.